Well, St. Jude is, again, a children's research hospital. We focus on the treatment and research of childhood catastrophic illnesses. We do a main focus on pediatric cancers and then other deadly diseases such as sickle cell, HIV, AIDS. We do a lot of research and treatment with those as well, and we've seen great success. And we're just, one day at a time getting these kids healthy, and even if we save one child, it's saving hundreds across the world.
Now, so many children are treated at St. Jude Children's Hospital. Yes. How do they get invited to the hospital, and what is the determination as to what illness will be treated and what illness will not be treated?
Well, it depends on the type of cancer. For your first question,
it's cancer only?
It's or deadly diseases such as like what I mentioned, sickle cell, AIDS, HIV. So it depends on the illness, and it depends on, if it's cancer, the stage of the cancer. Okay. So it is entirely up to that, and the doctors at St. Jude. We also have clinical studies and programs on certain cancers. So you'd have to get a doctor's referral, but if you're a parent and you're told that your child has cancer, the first thing you're going to ask is, I want the best treatment for my child. Sure. Where am I going to go? And again, depending on the hospital and the location of the hospital that they're in their hometown, some doctors might immediately say, let's see if I can get you a referral to St. Jude, whereas some might be able to treat them at their local hospital. Right. And if they can't, then they'll see if they can get a St. Jude referral. But it's so determinant on the type of illness, the stage of the illness, the doctor, the hospital that they're at. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
So the doctor would have to do the referral. The parent couldn't do it without the doctor's referral? Right,
because of the medical records that they have. The parent wouldn't have all the information. The doctors have it, and they know the terminology. They know, they would just know more about because of their profession. So the parents work with the doctors. The parents can research St. Jude and bring it to their doctor and say, I want to go to St. Jude, and from there the doctors can work with them. But ultimately the physician does have to make the contact with St. Jude.
Now, from what you were telling me, a child that goes to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, in these days of high medical costs, they don't have to worry about that.
They don't. That's what's so amazing about St. Jude is no family pays for anything at St. Jude. So it doesn't matter if you have health insurance, if you don't have health insurance. We don't deny treatment because of a family's inability to pay. So that includes CT scans, MRIs, the chemotherapy, the radiation, physical therapy. We also provide housing for our families because we believe that if your child has cancer, that should be the only thing that you're concerned. It should be taking care of your child and not having to worry about those bills. So we completely cover everything. Transportation for the family to St. Jude. Again, providing housing for them, whether it's for several weeks or several months. We have different types of housing there that they don't have to worry about anything. Groceries are taken care of. They just have to worry about getting their kid better.
Does St. Jude's have a waiting list?
Well, we only have 72 beds in our hospital, and we treat upwards of 7,000 patients a year. Mm-hmm. So I don't know actually if we would call it a waiting list per se, but we wouldn't deny treatment if we didn't have. We would right. See, I think that they would do whatever they could, but I'm not entirely certain on that.
Now, you told me on the phone that the daily operating expenses at St. Jude's Children's Hospital is $1.8 million.
$1.8 million a day to run and operate. Yes, but again, that includes the research, that includes the chemotherapy treatments, the MRIs, the CT scans. Again, all of that is covered, and as well as the patient care and the family care. All of that is included in the $1.8 million.
The salaries, the electric bill, all of that.
Well, yeah. 81 cents of every dollar donated goes right to the hospital. So that's a pretty astounding statistic because most charities it's 75 or under. So.
Now, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, according to legend, the television entertainer Danny Thomas, his career was not going that well. And St. Jude, the patron saint of hopeless causes, was praying to St. Jude, and he said to St. Jude, if you do something for my career, I'm going to always remember this. And St. Jude helped and his career went up and away, and subsequently he is responsible for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I know that's the mini version.
Yes, yes.
I'm sure you know in much greater detail.
Yes, it was in Detroit. There was a church in Detroit that Danny Thomas went to, and this was, over 70 years ago. And he went to a mass, and he was so touched and moved by this mass that he donated the last money he had in his pocket, which was $7, and he gave it to the church. And then after realizing what he did, he prayed to St. Jude and said, "Please help me find my way. I'm struggling." And then the next day he was offered a part that paid 10 times the amount that he donated. And, he continued to be successful. And then 2 years later, he had he was in a slump again in Detroit, the same church. He went back and he prayed to St. Jude again. And he said, "Please help me find my way in my life, and I will build you a shrine." And, the years that followed, Danny became an up-and-coming entertainer. He had his television show, and he kept his promise to St. Jude. And, he pulled some contacts that he had and decided, why not build a children's hospital in Memphis, Tennessee? It just came about, and here we are today. Before you were born, I remember growing up, and he was big stuff all the time on television, and his shows are still in syndication today. And his daughter, Marlo Thomas, she's very active with St. Jude's, carrying on her father's tradition, right? Absolutely. Now, with a daily operating expense like that, what do you do for fundraising? Oh, we do anything. We our large scale events are the Give Thanks Walk that occurs in November, every November, and that is in 90 cities across America. So it all happens on the same day. We obviously can't do it at the same time because of the time difference, but it is on the same day, and it's a walk, and it's you walk and give to help kids live. That's our theme of it, and you're just giving thanks for the healthy kids in your life and helping to raise money and awareness for the children that are fighting for their lives. And that's a huge event that we do. We also do radiothons with our country stations. We do gospel stations, and we do our Radio Cares program, and that's nationwide. Anybody who's familiar with the radiothon knows how they work. People call in. We have Partners in Hope, which is a pledge of either $20 or $25 a month on a credit card, and you become a partner in Hope. And again, going right to St. Jude. And we also do dinners, we do galas, we do all kinds of special events, small events such as picnics in a local community, all the way up to in California doing these elaborate galas and dinners. So really, we do anything that will raise any more money for these kids. ALSAC, the American Lebanese Syrian Associated Charities, that's when I first became aware of St. Jude's through ALSAC. In fact, until researching yesterday, I really didn't know what it stood for. Tell us about ALSAC. Well, ALSAC originated in the 50s. So Danny Thomas was able to, he went in his car across the country to try to raise money for St. Jude when his first idea of establishing a hospital and to be creative, a cancer research center for children. It was very unique at the time. And in doing that, he realized, well, how am I gonna, this is great, but what am I gonna do for the annual expenses of this hospital? So he is of Lebanese descent. So he reached out to the communities, and anybody that had an Arabic background or Lebanese background came together, and they said, like, what can we do? And ALSAC was formed on this. It's the fundraising branch of St. Jude. We only fundraise for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and we have thousands of volunteers. We have thousands of employees. It's amazing. You gave me an incredible statistic besides the operating expenses statistic that when St. Jude's Children's Hospital started, 4% was the survival rate, and now you're up to 94%, headed for 100. Yes. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL, is our most commonly diagnosed childhood cancer, and the survival rate in 1962, when the doors of St. Jude opened, was 4%. And today, in 2013, it is at 94%, which is phenomenal. But again, it's not 100 yet. We're working on it. Is there anything parents watching today could do to make sure that their children don't get cancer, or is that just one of those mysteries that you... It's one of those. It's like an adult, Right. What do you can't, the body's going to do what it's going to do, and you can be healthy as a horse, as they say, and your kid can still just get cancer. It's just one of those mysteries.
When a family brings their child to Memphis and St. Jude's, what is it like when they arrive? How will they be welcomed, and what sort of a process do they go through?
Well, it actually happens right after they're referred by their doctor. It's a matter of hours, or if at the most days that they are entering St. Jude.
They're on the plane.
They're on the plane and they're headed for Memphis. Transportation, again, is covered by St. Jude. And they walk in the hospital and they're greeted by doctors, and they kind of go through with the parents and the patient their schedule, more or less. Like, you know, we're going to meet and they're going to talk about what they're going to be doing for their child. And then they get that exact schedule. They get a copy of it for like the week that they're going to be there, or however long they're going to be there. They get a schedule, much like a class schedule, where you go to different things. And there's a lot of activities for the children as well. We make sure that it's very child friendly at our hospital. We have kids that go to their CT scans or treatments in red wagons, and their parents pull them in the wagon down the hospital floors. We have bikes. Kids are riding their bikes through the hallways, the little tricycles, and it's very child friendly. It is not. I've been to several hospitals, and the difference that I see with St. Jude is that everyone treats each other like family here, and it's a sense of hope as soon as you walk through the doors. It is not a sad place. Children are smiling, they are running, they're playing dress up in the hall, like they are having a blast. And when they come to St. Jude, it's the parents feel a sense of relief that there's hope for my child. Like, we're going to get through this.
You focus on the psychological side for the children as well as the medical side. What is a typical stay like, or a typical day like, for the parents while their child is being treated?
It depends on what their child is suffering from and what their treatment plan is. But typically they'll go to the treatments with their children if they're allowed in. Sometimes they're not. If not, they just stand by their side. I've heard of parents that they more or less, every story I've heard, the parents, as you would imagine, don't want to leave their child's side. They are with them through thick and thin. The nurses actually, again, the sense of family, take on a role as another family member, and the doctors do as well. And I've heard of nurses that say, you know what, go home and get some sleep. I'll stay with them. I have your phone number. Don't worry about it. And or go get your nails done. Why don't you go have fun? Go out. Go out with your other child that's with us. If they have a sibling that came to visit, why don't you guys go out, get some lunch? I'll stay with them. And they're more than willing to do that. So again, the sense of closeness and family at St. Jude is unbelievable.
One of the things that you impressed me with on the phone the other day is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital does a tremendous amount of research, but instead of keeping it in Memphis, they share the research with their colleagues all over the world.
Yes, we share our knowledge freely, so anybody that wants to know can know. We'll share anything that we find with anybody, because our mission is to save children's lives. That's what it comes down to.
What are some of the research discoveries that have been made at St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which has allowed you to take it from a 4% success rate to 94%?
Well, most recently, our researchers and doctors have discovered that the drug in adult rheumatoid arthritis that's used to treat that aids in the treatment of retinoblastoma, which is an eye cancer in children. So they've noticed great success with that drug that then is able to counteract the cancer in these children. So that was a huge finding that happened a couple years back. They find things every day. I couldn't keep up with everything that they discover and are helping these kids. So
the radio group I work for is very involved with Ronald McDonald House, and I also saw that some of the families that will go to St. Jude stay at the Ronald McDonald House.
Yes, we also have, in addition to the Ronald McDonald House, we have what is called the Grizzly House, which the Memphis Grizzlies donated. It is for short-term care. If you're staying for several weeks and the family needs a place to stay, that's where they'll be housed. We also have the Target House. Again, Target is one of our major corporate sponsors, but they have Target House 1 and 2, and that's for more of long-term care. So those are more or less apartments for the families if they're going to be there for some time. That's where they're gonna live, and the patient can stay with them in some cases as well. They don't have to stay in the hospital. So that's, in addition, that's all like the housing that is provided for the family.
How many children go through St. Jude Children's Hospital on a yearly basis, or you may not know?
No, it's upwards of 7,000 a year are treated at St. Jude.
7,000. And do they go to St. Jude's for a couple of weeks and then fly back to their hometown and then come back at a certain point, or is the treatment able to be continued where the individual lives?
It depends. Again, it depends on the type of cancer, or the type of illness that they suffer from.